This is a 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. It's a Pro 4 times. This is a new generation truck replacing the Frontier that has been with us since 2005. And that means Nissan gave its mid-size truck a new look, structure, and tech. Though the powertrain carries over from the outgoing truck, which got a major update for the 2020 model year. My name is Robin Warner, an experienced engineer and magazine editor, and I'm also largely carried over from 2020. That's good, right? Right? The Pro-4X is the top trim you can buy, above the S, SV, and Pro-X models. That means you get 17-inch alloy wheels with all-terrain tires, a locking rear differential, Bilstein shocks, and, because this is the 4X and not just X, four-wheel drive. Regardless of trim, powering the Frontier is a 3.8-liter V6 that produces a peaked 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque. That power then goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission and onto your choice of the rear or all four wheels. The base price for the 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X is $38,390, and my test car cost $44,315. For those that are interested, I included detailed specifications, including dimensions, fuel economy, and options in the description. All right, let's take a look around the car.
Well, here it is, the 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X. And no, this is not a two-tone paint job with white paint on the roof. That is snow. It is late November in Michigan, and this is not uncommon. But what you do see is what's called a tactical green metallic paint that is supposed to give more of an outdoorsy look to this truck, and I think it succeeds. There's no reason not to. Now, this is the crew cab truck or four-door version of this truck. There is also a king cab or two-door version of this truck on the S and SV trims, though that does still provide a second row of seating. If you get the king cab, you can get the longer bed and still be on the shorter wheelbase. And yes, this is the shorter of two wheelbases. There is a long wheelbase version of this truck that gives you the crew cab and the longer bed. Now, this is the short wheelbase truck, but the wheelbase isn't actually short. It's just shorter than the longer wheelbase truck. The longer wheelbase truck is 224.1 inches long with a 139.8-inch wheelbase, which gets into, full-size truck territory in terms of length and wheelbase, just maybe not quite width. But if you want the long wheelbase truck, you have to go with the SV model, and this is obviously not an SV model because look at that, it says Pro 4X right there. And because this is a Pro 4X truck, aside from decals, you do get these really nice all-terrain tires with 17-inch wheels, black wheels. They look cool. You also get LED head and fog and daytime running lights up here in front, and you get a skid plate as well under there. Now, if you look on the side, you can see this brand new ladder type frame being used right there. And if we take a step back, we can see that, this is a new look for the Nissan Frontier. It's got a nice, good, classic truck kind of shape. It's a bit more squared off in these lines. You got some sharp creases in the hood. The grille is, plenty aggressive, and the Nissan logo is this different color to help it stand out, as do these tow hooks, which are optional down here, and they're not actually technically tow hooks. They're tow rings, but they're mounts, of course. And I think it's got good proportions for a truck. Pretty standard these days, the crew cab space and all those kinds of things. Taking a quick look in back, you've got this nice imprint of Frontier going across here, Pro 4X right there. One thing I do appreciate, this is silly, but you do have a nice single exhaust tip right there. Easy peasy, simple, love it. And the bed, just under 5 feet in length, but plenty wide, easy open tailgate, carries snow really well, and you have a lot of mounting options right here, like this right here. And it might be a little bit hard to tell with all the snow, but that is a spray-in bed liner. And you've also got some power options right here. I believe that's up to 400 watts. Anyway, it's a truck. Let's take a look inside. For a mid-sized truck, this is totally decent. You've got reasonable legroom here. The seat bottom is a little bit on the low side, so I've got more than a 90-degree bend in my knees, and I've probably got about an inch of legroom, but plenty of room up front. It'd be plenty comfortable for shorter trips. Also, you do have one USB Type A, one USB Type C, and AC power right here. And if you don't have anyone sitting in back, you can actually lift this lever right here and lift the seat bottoms, and you can do that on both sides to give you some extra storage. And then Nissan offers, this is like emergency supplies pack. There's some gloves in here, things like that. Also underneath it, the Adventure Medic Kit. Pretty cool. But if you don't have this stuff, you have extra storage right here. And you can also just have this lifted up in general to give yourself more space. You could fit a mountain bike back here or whatever. Let's check out the front. Pretty standard stuff here. Power windows, power locks, side view mirror adjustment. This is my own addition right here. This does have the Fender 10-speaker stereo system, so you see that right there. And also we have these custom Frontier Pro-4X floor mats. You'll see Pro-4X kind of scatter about this interior in a lot of different places. The steering wheel has your pretty typical array of buttons and things to select with the stereo system, phone, as well as adaptive cruise control, or what Nissan calls intelligent cruise control, because this does have the $990 technology package, which adds a lot of safety stuff, including that. Also, you've got a lot of different buttons here. This is for turning on and off lane departure warning, those kinds of things. This is the adjustable settings for the AC power, cargo lamp. Four-wheel drive models get hill descent control. Here is some diff lock opportunities, as well as track control, those types of things. Also, you do have a tow mode up here, and this just adjusts the backlight of the instrument cluster right here. Inside, we have nice and comfortable seats. We do have a push button for this engine start. As you can see, we do have two real gauges, speedometer on the right, tachometer on the left, and this digital screen in the center. I like having real gauges. I don't know, that's just the oldness in me, I suppose. And as you can see down here, this indicates that we're currently in two-wheel drive mode. That is adjustable right here. Two-wheel drive is rear-wheel drive, 4 high, 4 low. So you do have some proper all-wheel drive options. This is a 9-inch center console screen. That is for the Pro-X and Pro-4X trims only. The other ones get an 8-inch center console screen. I'm sure both are lovely. Regardless of the screen size, you do get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and wireless Bluetooth capability with the Nissan. You get 2-zone climate control, and because this truck is equipped with the Pro Convenience package, I've got heated seats as well as a heated steering wheel. Both are part of that convenience package. Also, because of that convenience package, I have wireless smartphone charging right here. Perfectly decent cup holders, perfectly normal shift lever, especially for a truck, and good lower center console space with additional charging power right down there. Looking up, you do get cargo lights, but also, check it out, a moonroof. Also, you do get a couple more USB charging ports right here, as well as a generic charging port right there. Anyway, the truck's starting to warm up. I think it's a good time to go for a drive.
Hi everybody. Well, here it is, the 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. This is the first new Frontier here in the United States in 17 years. Wow, that's kind of amazing to think about, that the last Frontier had that much staying power. But the mid-size truck category has really exploded recently. GM got into it not that long ago with the Colorado and Canyon. Ford jumped in with the Ranger, and now they have the Maverick as well. And if you really want to shrink down to like the compact truck size, even Hyundai got involved with the new Santa Fe. And of course, that's in addition to the Tacoma, which, like this Frontier, has been with us for decades straight on. and Honda's Ridgeline, which came along in early 2000s and just recently had an update as well. Of the mid-sized truck category, this is definitely much more like the Ranger or the Tacoma, being like a proper truck, not a car-based platform that's been modified to become a truck. And you can feel that in the way it drives and sounds, but you also notice it when it comes to its towing capability and payload capacities. And at the core of those capacities is, of course, the engine. And as I said at the top, this is not a new engine. This carried over from the 2020 model year, but it was a brand new engine for 2020, the 3.8 liter V6 replacing a 4 liter V6, and that 4 liter V6, even though it had more displacement, had less horsepower, 261 horsepower versus 310. Now, it actually made the same amount of torque, 281 pound-feet, but that 4 liter could not spin as fast. Its peak revs was 6,000 RPM. This goes to 6,600, and that allows it to spin faster, keep generating power, and up that peak horsepower. Also, you get a 9-speed automatic transmission instead of a 5-speed manual or 6-speed automatic transmission that this Frontier came with in 2019 and older trucks. So it's a carryover engine, but it was a carryover engine that was majorly updated for the 2020 model year. Of course, with all this talk about powertrain, we have to do an acceleration test. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm currently in 2-wheel drive mode, so we might get a little bit of tire spinning. Let's find out. Oh yeah. And we're moving. Yeah, really stout acceleration from this thing, considering that this is a more than 4,500 pound mid-sized truck. The 9-speed transmission gets the shifts off fairly quickly. Now, the 3.8 liter does sound a touch on the coarse side, but it is perfectly effective at getting you moving. We had good acceleration from the beginning, good low-end torque, good mid-range as well. So solid truck, solid engine with good linear power delivery and quick shifts. This is a good time to mention that fuel economy, you know, is more or less on target with other mid-sized trucks. The Nissan Frontier with 4-wheel drive gets 17 miles to the gallon in the city, 22 miles to the gallon on the highway, 19 miles combined. Now, if you get a rear-wheel drive truck instead of a 4-wheel drive truck, those numbers jump to 18 miles to the gallon in the city, 24 miles to the gallon on the highway, and 20 combined. You know, not class leading certainly, but you know, competitive enough. And again, this is on the truckier side of things. This is a full body-on-frame truck with a ladder-type frame underneath it, not a car-based platform underneath it. And the Frontier is very truck-like when it comes to comfort as well. It's pretty loud in here. You get a fair amount of wind noise, fair amount of road noise, and just general intrusiveness of the outward elements into the interior of this truck. Even the HVAC is pretty loud. The fan, the HVAC fan, is currently in its lowest setting. If I turn it up to its second lowest setting, it's there. It's still not bad when you're moving. But all of a sudden, this is pretty loud, and this is only halfway up. This is how loud the HVAC system can get. And I'm still talking. I don't know if you can hear me or not. So this is definitely louder than average when it comes to comfort. But HVAC noise aside, a big part of the noise is the fact that this is the Pro-4X. The Bilstein shocks definitely affect the way this truck goes over the roads. The all-terrain tires are definitely going to be louder than more normal, more street-friendly tires that many trucks get these days. So I'm sure the SV and S versions of this Nissan are actually probably quieter. You know, wind noise is still going to be a touch on the high side, but the point of a truck isn't luxury. The point of it is to be able to do a lot of things with it. And to that end, it handles much like a truck as well. Although I have to say, the steering is surprisingly quick. Nissan actually sped up the steering ratio of this truck by 16% over the last generation model. So you get respectably sharp handling and good turn-in response, definitely more than I was expecting. Now, it's not like it has a lot of grip. You're not going to be pulling tons of lateral G's or anything like that, but the response is higher than I expected. And we can't talk about a new for 2022 truck or anything without talking about new safety features. Of course, this has a lot of them, not least of which is 8 airbags in this thing. Driver and passenger front airbags, driver and passenger side and curtain airbags, and front driver and passenger knee airbags as well. So you're pretty well protected in this truck. And that of course is in addition to driver assistance systems. This actually doesn't have that many standard features, but there are a couple, like automatic emergency braking. But this particular truck does have the technology package, which is a $990 option, which includes a bunch of driver assist systems like the adaptive cruise control that I showed you earlier, as well as something I actually like a lot, high beam assist, automatic high and low beams. And then there's a bunch of other stuff. I'll put a list of it on the screen right here so you get a sense of what I'm talking about. It's a lot, is the point. But in the end, sum it all up, even though this truck is brand new for 2022, the new frame, the new tech, all that kind of stuff, it still does not feel as refined as the best mid-size trucks out there, especially when you consider that there are some car-based options out there like the Honda Ridgeline. If you are looking for something that you want to use every day, that mainly functions to do, you know, commuting to work and that kind of stuff, you're gonna notice that this is not as refined, not quite as a pleasant experience on the road. However, there is a flip side to that. This can tow up to 6,720 pounds if you get the rear wheel drive S trim model. And that same trim can also haul 1,600 pounds. That's its payload capacity. And that compares to the Honda Ridgeline, which can only tow 5,000 pounds and haul actually a pretty decent amount, 1,583 pounds. Now, how often are you really going to need to tow more than 5,000 pounds? I'm guessing not that often if you're in the mid-size truck category, but, you know, to have that availability, to have that option could be really useful for some people. Again, this particular truck, because it is all-wheel drive and the Pro-4X trim, which is the top trim of this truck, it can only tow 6,270 pounds, and its payload capacity is actually a touch on the low side, 1,230. But again, you get Bilstein shocks, a locking rear differential, all-terrain tires. So this has some proper off-roading chops that other trucks wouldn't. So maybe that suits your lifestyle more and gives you more options. And certainly this is going to be more off-road capable than a stock Honda Ridgeline. And besides, there's kind of an old school charm to this truck because it's not quite as refined, because it doesn't have as much new tech. You know, the V6 sounds just a little bit more rough, just a little bit more raw, a little bit closer to the mechanical explosions, combustions that make the power in the first place. You know, the 9-speed transmission gets the job done, but it doesn't have like a terribly refined feel. And the fact that we're on slightly tougher Bilstein shocks with the all-terrain tires and the extra noise, there's like a reminiscence of the good old days in a sense. Like, I kind of feel completely that I'm in a truck here, you know, in every sense of the word. This feels like a truck, and there's nostalgia for that. In a way, this is kind of your path to getting a brand new truck and still retaining some of that old school feel. And there's some real power in that. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you for watching. And if you are still watching, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe to my channel. Those things really do help me out quite a lot. Okay, goodbye.